All right, Lori Nestore here, also known as the Wax Queen. This is a 10-minute leg waxing section. So, no messing around, we're just going to get right to work. This particular brand, it's called Barron's. It is the brand that I import and have worked with now for almost 3 years. Works over oil, so you're going to apply a very small amount of oil. Generally what happens when people take too long is they focus on the little stuff instead of the big picture. So prep everything, wax everything, and then clean it all up. Don't do each step more than one time. I'm using a sterilizable, non-disposable plastic spatula, and I am going to double dip. You can, if it's against the law where you live, you can absolutely do this without double dipping, and in fact you can use these awesome tools without double dipping. You just have to have more than one of them and use each one time. But what makes it such a great tool is that if you'll notice, you can get a lot of product on the spatula, and then you keep it at a 90-degree angle so you get a thin placement of product without it having to be hot. So using one strip, starting along the bottom, rubbing it with your entire hand, and getting the whole bottom section done. I notice I have hold of her foot here. That actually controls her legs, so she or he, the client, will not twitch and move around for you. I also want you to notice as I apply the wax on the second leg that I move the leg up to me. I don't bend down and inspect too closely, nor do I go into this tilting the leg. If you do this and move the leg around when you're trying to put wax on, you'll actually just glue them to the table. So lift the leg up to you so that your back remains really comfortable and you don't get tired, and you should be able to wax all day without getting physically tired. So again, I'm using one strip and I'm pressing all along the way. And using my entire hand to rub that strip. Okay, bend. To do the knee, you have them bend the knee. And you want to keep the skin tight, of course, so you're going to pull the skin for the top of the knee from the top. You don't really have to hold the skin tight on the calves. Nobody has really loose and saggy skin around their calves. So I know some of you were taught to do this and hold the skin. You just don't have to on the bottom section of the legs. Bend. Same thing. Put the wax on, go over. And the reason that I have the customer bend the knee is because knees are corners. And if proper wax techniques means that you go alongside the body, you can't actually go around the corner. You know, it straightens the skin out, so it's nice and firm that way. And then you do a section at a time so that you're not trying to keep your hand alongside the body by doing that. Okay, so I've done the front, including the knees. If there's any little bits, use the whole strip. Don't do any dotting. Take a nice, generous amount of oil and just lay it down on the skin. Have the customer turn over and hang your feet off. And on the back, relax. On the back, I have a tendency to put wax on both legs before I start removing it. I'm not sure why I developed that habit, but I just did, and it's something that I do. The cool thing about the Barron's Ease wax is that it actually does not dry. So you can put it all over and you don't ever have to worry about it. So on the back, This is how I work on the back of the leg. But you know, when you do this with your wax, in other words, when you just set the whole segment down, you don't have to look to see where you ended or where you have to begin. You just cover the entire thing. And if you'll notice, I am pressing up against her foot. It flattens out the Achilles place right there and makes it nice and tight. And then again, like I did in the front, it holds her leg firmly in place so that it's easier for me to work on. It also makes your client feel like much more comfortable about that you're in control of the whole situation. And on the left leg, I use my left thigh to push it up. Notice I'm squatting, I'm not hunching. You really don't ever need to look at the hair from here. No, you don't. No, you don't. So squat, don't hunch, don't bend over. Again, you really want to be able to wax all day long and not be physically tired. Okay, I actually have all the hair off. I am going to take a generous amount of oil, just like I did on the front of her, and I am going to rub it in. And then I will take one last strip, and to do a set of half legs, 7 strips. That's all you need. And I'm using good pressure here. What happens when you do this? The oil will help dissolve any last little bits of stickiness. And then the strip actually removes the residual little bits of wax and the excess oil. You want your customer to be able to walk out the door hairless and not oily. Those are the 2 goals. You don't want them to be oozing in oil, and you don't want any little sticky parts, and of course you don't want any hair. Flip back over. And because I put that oil down, the wax just comes right off. Don't be afraid to be nice and firm. It doesn't hurt the customer. It only hurts if you build up this friction. You know, you don't want to do that. But be nice and firm and faster than a speeding bullet and calm as ever could be. You have 10-minute leg waxing. Bye-bye. Okay, so since I was on a time limit in order to do my 10-minute leg wax, and I actually finished it in 8 minutes, I thought that I had enough time to do a Brazilian bikini wax. So let me get my model. And we have 2 minutes to do a poodle Brazilian bikini wax for you.